In ancient Athens, during the 4th century BCE, there was a young boy named Demosthenes who dreamed of becoming a great orator. However, fate did not favor him. He was weak, frail, and had a severe speech impediment that made it difficult for him to speak clearly. When he tried to talk, his words came out uneven, and people struggled to understand him. Demosthenes' father, a wealthy swordmaker, died when he was just 7 years old, leaving behind a large fortune. But his guardians, who were supposed to protect his inheritance, cheated him and squandered his wealth. By the time Demosthenes grew up, he had nothing left. Enraged and determined to seek justice, he decided to take his corrupt guardians to court. However, there was a major problem. He could barely speak well enough to argue his case. When he first attempted to speak in public, he was mocked and ridiculed. People laughed at his weak voice, his awkward expressions, and his inability to deliver a powerful speech. Even his teachers doubted him. One of them, the famous orator Satyrus, told him, "You will never become a great speaker." This would have discouraged many, but not Demosthenes. He saw it as a challenge. Determined to change his fate, Demosthenes embarked on a journey of self-improvement like no other. He devised some of the most unusual and painful methods to train himself, training by the sea. To strengthen his weak voice, he practiced speaking loudly by the roaring waves of the ocean. The noise forced him to project his voice powerfully, and over time, he built up incredible vocal strength, speaking with pebbles. To improve his articulation and pronunciation, he placed small pebbles in his mouth and forced himself to speak clearly despite the challenge. Sword training for breath control. To enhance his breathing technique, he practiced sword exercises while reciting speeches. This built his endurance and allowed him to speak for long periods without losing his breath. Isolation and focus. To dedicate himself fully to improvement, he shaved half of his head so that he would be too embarrassed to go outside. This forced him to stay indoors and practice relentlessly. Speech in the mirror. He positioned a large mirror in front of him and practiced his gestures, facial expressions, and posture, ensuring that his presence commanded attention. Underground training. To eliminate all distractions, he built a small underground chamber where he could practice without interruption for hours at a time. Years of relentless training, Demosthenes finally returned to the public stage. This time, he was no longer the weak, mumbling boy people once ridiculed. His voice was powerful, his words were clear, and his speeches were captivating. He became one of the greatest orators in history. His speeches against Philip II of Macedon, known as the Philippics, were so powerful that they inspired Athens to resist Macedonian rule. Even centuries later, his name became synonymous with determination and perseverance. Demosthenes' story teaches us a profound lesson. Greatness is not born, it is built. Obstacles may seem overwhelming, but with relentless effort, even the weakest can rise to become legends. No matter how many times the world laughs at you, if you work hard enough, one day they will listen.